Hello, everyone. I'm Omkar. I'm the founder CEO of Miracle.io Germany. And today it gives me great pleasure to have Ms. Shikha Tripathi as our fourth guest on our podcast of Women Educators Pioneering Student-Centric Education. So, Ms. Shikha and Miracle.io, we actually met at an event some months ago. And it so turns out that both of us have a strong recall of each other as well. And it gives Miracle.io and myself great pleasure to have Ms. Shikha on the call here again today. Maybe before I hand it over to Ms. Shikha, I'd love to have a short introduction from my side about the accolades and the achievements that Ms. Shikha has accumulated over her career in education. So Ms. Shikha possesses around 14 plus years of experience in the education sector, and she has been passionate about education, and especially with a background in biotechnology. She has also undergone a course in leadership. So she sort of blends biotechs like science, education, and leadership all together, especially with a background in management from IIM Raipur. And of course, education by itself cannot be done effectively without the support of all the stakeholders. So Ms. Shikha's approach towards training and developing her team of educators, teachers, and subject matter experts is something that she really brings together. Ms. Shikha has also been an ambassador and a speaker and an awardee at several organizations internationally in India and across the world. And she's also a motivational speaker, leader, blogger, and YouTuber. So she's been active on so many different fronts, and it gives us a lot of pride and joy to have her on our podcast today. There are so many other things that Ms. Shikha has achieved, but in order to keep the introduction short and concise, I would like to hand over to Ms. Shikha to add maybe bits of her story that I have not covered here so far. And I would love to maybe hear a bit about why, Ms. Shikha, you started as an educator. What made you choose education as your passion and as your mission?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Omkar. In fact, lovely lines to hear from you after a long gap. When we are a leader, we are educator. All the time, what we do, we are giving instructions. We are on the mic. We are speaking. So very few times it happens that we are listening from others about us only. So it was long gap. But yes, thank you so much for inviting, first of all, on this platform. And this is my passion to come on the platform, such platforms, to come and speak especially on the topic that is female leadership, or what we do as an inclusive education or child-centered learning. That's great sounds. And as you have asked, a journey about me, as the name of your, this organization, I would say, Miracle. So this happened in my life too. And selecting education or coming into education field was not by choice. It was by chance. So earlier, after my biotechnology only, I was interested for junior research fellowship. So somehow or the other, I was the failure at that place. So once I was just crossing by a school, I saw the board of the school, this international school. I thought, let me try for this school. It was just a thought. और कहा जाता है ना कि it everything starts from the thought process only. So it came to my mind. Next day, I prepared my CV. I had submitted. Interview happened. I got selected. And then, when I was in the interview, I told them that, yes, I am biotechnology person. So I'm very interested for +2 level. And I have those skills. But what happened? They didn't have that vacancy at the time. So I joined as grade 3rd class teacher. Can you imagine? I was having the skills to teach a +2 level, but I joined. Okay, it's okay if I'm getting the job like this. It's okay. So with that full passion and devotion, I started with that. Grade 3rd only, I started. Science was my subject only. So, small topics, germination and all. I was taking with that with full interest. Luckily, what happens, as miracle I'm talking about, the teacher who was supposed to join to teach for grade 9 and 10, she didn't join. And as I told in the interview only, so that place was given to me. I was asked to join in the place of that teacher. I joined that place. Then I continued for next 5 to 6 months. This was my first promotion. Then what happened in after 5 months, in plus two, means 11th and 12th, the teacher who was teaching, that teacher got selected in some other organization. That teacher left. Then again, I was given that opportunity, ki Shikha, if you're interested, you can come and just teach 11th and 12th grade. If that will be good, we will take you for further. And miracle really happened. In 6 months, I was twice promoted and I was given as plus two, means PGT biology teacher. It was great to hear that, see, this is how it happens. When I would said no to grade third class teacher that I would be not joining, in 6 months I would not get that opportunity. So it's a learning for all of us that whenever life gives us the opportunity now, we should never say no, because you don't know that what is behind that, what is waiting for you behind that. So after then that, after completing my 5 years of PGT biology, I was as a teacher. I got a chance to, I was appointed as headmistress at one of the group of schools, Sunbeam Group. I was there for again 6 to 7 months. Then I was promoted to principal in the very next academic session. And then I worked there for 5 years. Then I again changed to next group of schools, St. M.R. Japuria School. I worked there also for 5 years. So these many years, what I have done was attending so many sessions online. That time the online was not there, offline. Doing sessions, taking students to national level, presenting projects in one of the very good schools, CMS at Lucknow, which was, calling all principals all around the world and then picking some of the projects from them, talking about the strategies and the methods, what we do. So this was all about my journey when I was a teacher. Then also I was very passionate doing something creative, something very innovative in this school. And then when I was a principal, then I was also behind these things to do something extra, something which is behind the track, something which is very different from others. And meanwhile, then I have continued from that. I completed my IAM course, Leadership and Change Management from Raipur. And then till then, now is the day when I'm not looking back. And again, I'm looking forward for more sessions, more such, ceremonies or workshops or conferences, so that I can talk to people and tell exactly what is happening in the field of education and how we can move ahead for the child's bringing up into a new zone, into new era. Slowly, we will also talk about how we can work even better in the field of education.
Okay, wow, that's a really inspiring journey, Ms. Shikha. I think going from sending in your resume for just to see where it goes, to sort of starting
Yes.
off as a teacher, to going towards 9th and 10th grade, to going towards plus two, and then becoming principal, taking leadership on as a way of life, as a way of professionalism. I think it's really inspiring to see how one thing led to the other over there, because you made that first sort of step towards something that you thought could be a good starting point into education. I think it's a really good lesson for everyone who's thinking of becoming an educator or working in the space of education, about what it takes to also succeed over here, of course. And maybe would love to hear a bit more about your current role at Orchids, the International School in Pune. How do you see student centricity playing a role in your approach towards education at Orchids?
Okay, so Orchids International School is a group where we are having 65 plus branches across India. And when we are talking about inclusive education or student-centered learning, so in that way, now we are doing many things which comes into the curriculum. So what I would tell, as per my approach of student-centered learning, is what, when we are giving student chance, what they are learning and how they are learning. And we are working in a world where we are training students we are training students on the skills to bring confidence, to bring motivation, and to develop those skills so that they are prepared and they are graduated towards a changing world. We know how the world is changing. We even don't know that the child who is in grade nursery or in K1 or K2, we call it K1 as a LKG child, K1 and K2, these children after 15 years of when they will pass out from their school, where they will go, what kind of job options they are going to have. We don't know after 15 to 20 years what jobs options we will have. So the only thing what we can do is to make create those skills, to serve those skills in the child, so that that child is prepared for that changed world, so that child is prepared for that kind of job option whatever the child will be having. So that is one thing. When we are talking about child centered learning, my approach is to make child happy and comfortable in this school, so that the child is welcomed and feeling valued when the child is coming to school. So we are going through many things in that case. Like suppose when the child comes to school, now attendance doesn't happen like the traditional method, taking attendance register, calling out names and putting this. No, we are having a chart paper right next to the door. Child comes and teacher is welcoming the child. Child is only putting the attendance, because that chart paper is having present and absent, and there are few, popsicles. The child picks out that present wala part where the photo is there of that child, and child puts into the present wala column. So this is how child is only involved in putting her or his attendance. That is first thing. Now, related to this child centered learning, there are many things which we are doing. Like we are making them participate into several activities as volunteer teaching. We are asking child to come in front and to speak about the topic. So gone are the days when teachers were as the leaders and they were the instructors. When we were having education, teachers were only the instructors. Do this, do not do this, and these are several points you have to cover. You have to do this activity in this way, what the teacher is studying. Nowadays the teacher instructors have been shifted. There is a paradigm shift from that to the student who are parallelly working as the teacher, who are also made to make classroom rules, who are there to select their council members by giving voting, who are there to select their monitors, who are there to even select several other things, and they are in the meeting, they are giving suggestions. So we are frequently in a month, we are having meeting with the monitors. I'm having, and I'm taking suggestion from monitors also, from the council members, and I'm putting that also. So they are feeling valued, they are feeling celebrated there. Yes, we are also there in suggestion making department, we are also there in that zone. So this is how Orchids is working. There are many more things.
Okay, wow. This is, I like the idea of having attendance being like self-serve attendance almost, right?
Yes, yes.
I think that's a wonderful idea. And I think you also perhaps reduce the possibilities of, like, it's making the child more accountable, even
Yes,
for
yes.
their own
He's not engaged
responsibilities.
in something or the other thing. Na? Right away from the morning, he's attentive. This is what I have to do.
Right. Exactly. And you mentioned also about making students industry ready, or let's say ready for the real world, as one of the sort of key founding blocks of your approach. Especially for older students, like students who are, let's say, young teenagers, like students who are 13, 14, 15. What particular activities, for example, or what particular initiatives does Orchids take for these kind of students to make them ready for the real world?
Okay, because they are more closer to that, after
They're
just
closer to
many,
that,
many
exactly.
years, they will be coming into that zone. So to make them ready, one very good initiative what we have started, we are having that in the timetable only, public speaking classes. So in that public speaking, we don't have any book, any notebook, no written work, just to practice about public speaking. As I told in my earlier sessions also, and I'm very particular about the body language. I'm very particular about the self presentation, how you're presenting yourself in front of others. That is first point. You also must be observing that nowadays also your mark sheet comes at the second place, your merit comes at the second place. First priority is what? How you are presenting yourself, how you're talking, how you're moving, your gestures, your voice, your accent, your hairs, your clothing. Means each and every, from your head to toe, how you're presenting yourself, that counts first. So that is one part of public speaking, which is there in the timetable of Orchids, the International School. So children come to school, in the class, teacher enters into the classroom. She is having her laptop, or we are having digiboard. She shows the video. That is what the initiation of the class, where children are seeing the video. And then a question comes to the class. The teacher gives a question or the teacher gives chit. Today only I was observing the class. The teacher has given some chits on the table, has kept some chits. Calling the students, the child is going to pick up the chit. On the chit, there is written 1, 2, 3, 4, any number. Then the number which the child is selecting, on that number, whatever the topic is given on the sheet of the teacher will be giving that topic. Like my favorite holiday spot. Yeah, when my toy talks to me, means this is imaginary question. When I will say that when my cup will talk to me, what will happen? है ना, हम ऐसा क्वेश्चन नहीं डिस्कस करते. So what will happen when my toothbrush is going to talk to me, when my pen is going to talk to me? So I will say a few words. Ab now that is imaginary, and you have to think not out of the box. I would not say out of the box concept is doesn't comes in my dictionary, because rather than out of the box, why not get rid of the box? There is no box, no boundaries, no zone. Means entire thing is open and you have to think with your mind openly. There is no boundaries, no box. So child is thinking how my cup is talking to me. My cup is saying, do have a cup of milk every day. My cup is saying, do not have tea, not more than 2 cups of tea. My toothbrush is saying, you're very funny and you have to brush twice a day. My brush is teasing me. Yeah, my pen is saying do not do errors because eraser is not there. Because orchids mein policy hai na, there is no eraser policy. So we don't use erasers at all. So that is again a different concept. So these are the things what we do in the classroom. So child picks, I'm coming back to that, child picks that chit, the topic comes to the child is speaking, and teacher is assessing that child. So that is what jam session. इसको हम jam session बोलते हैं, just a minute. So child is speaking for a minute about any topic what the teacher has given and delivering the views. Then we are having know your voice. Child is having that, earphone and mic and coming in front of the class and speaking in front of their friends, speaking on the topic what the teacher has given. Once in a while, we are calling parents also for that. So as I was telling you, there is no eraser policy. No eraser policy means suppose I have instructed my children not to use erasers. So when I'm not doing erasers, not using erasers, it means I'm having mistakes in my notebook, right? And I'm cutting it down and writing the correct word on the top. Slowly, what will happen when I will flip my notebook, I will see that there are corrections. I was doing mistakes in the beginning, and slowly and gradually, by the end, I am minimizing those mistakes because I'm not using erasers. I'm learning from my mistakes. So as you said, the miracle is all about learning by doing. So Orchids is mostly about learning by mistakes. So we are doing mistakes. We are not erasing that. We are learning from the mistakes. So there are many more things which we people are doing to, bringing children into that zone and making them prepared, creating those skills and, carving those good things out from the child so that that child is prepared for the coming time in the next very few years.
Okay, great. I think it's a very good approach to sort of create a safe space for making mistakes. I think that's what it is about, right? That you won't survive in the world without making mistakes and learning from them, right? And I think that's the crucial part, like creating not just a physical safe space, but also an emotional safe space for being able to learn from your mistakes. First of all, doing those mistakes and knowing that mistakes are normal, but then correcting them as well. I think that's a very fundamental sort of thing that many students don't know or don't get to learn until it's very late in their professional lives. Often, I think it's wonderful that Orchids is sort of teaching this from the ground, from ground zero, basically from day zero as well. I think that's wonderful. In fact, with Miracle as well, we are exactly doing that. Like we are enabling students to think outside the box and just get rid of the box. Exactly. The whole world is your box, is basically what our approach is, right?
Exactly.
The whole world is your oyster. Yeah. That's exactly the approach that we take as well. And you're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to recover from them as well. And you're allowed to understand why what you did now is working and what you did before wasn't working. I think that's the crucial part about learning by doing and learning by doing mistakes and succeeding as as an eventual step, but not as the first step. I think that's the crucial part. Very interesting. And How are the teachers at Orchids supported in order to support their students better? Because I think in the end, the teacher plays a very important role in the education ecosystem. And in today's world, perhaps the teacher's role is more of that of a guide or a mentor or a supporter. But how do we support the supporters in order to impart student-centric education?
Yeah. So that's very good question. They are the backbone. If we are talking about any good thing happening in the school, those all magic or miracle, I would say, is done by the teachers. So teachers are great magicians who are bringing all these changes, because we educators, we leaders, we are framing the curriculum, we are setting the things, we are sending the notices and circulars. But ultimately, who is going to do? The teachers are going to do into the classrooms. So I would say I am calling not classrooms, but I'm giving classrooms as think rooms, a room where children are thinking, a room where they are designing something, a room where they are having creativity something. So that is not classroom, that is a think room. So, what about supporters, as you have said, or the teachers? What we are doing at International, we are giving trainings, and that trainings are in different levels. As soon as the teacher joins, induction training happens. Then the physical training happens. There are sure learning modules where the self training happens. There is no physical training at that time. A module is being given, a link is given, a generated link is given to the teacher is doing her training self. Means there are different modules, and completing one module, once the teacher has completed one module, then only she can go to the second module. When the second is done, then only she can go to the third module. And there is one more challenge. Suppose first module is done, then a test happens. There is quiz of 10 questions, and if teacher is not getting 75% marks in that, she cannot go to the next level, next module. Then that means you have not understood it thoroughly, and that module is all about the Orchid International policies, Orchid International curriculum, about the strategies, about the classroom rules. We at Orchid International is working on all different areas about morning routines, class routines, transition routines, academic routines. What happens when the children are in the classroom? What happens when children are in the corridor? That is transition routines. How they are coming to school? That is morning routine. So there are different routines ka modules which the teacher undergoes, and once she passes 75% marks she is securing, then she is moving to the next module. So once she is completing, she is getting certificate also. That is also self-generated certificate. So this is what self training, that is what the teacher is doing. So we are giving training as of this sure learning modules. We are giving physical training on Eduate portal also. We are giving them training when the resource person is coming from Bangalore or Mumbai, from other central team department, and the that resource person is sitting in the classroom and observing, and then giving training what is right and what is wrong. So there are few ways where we are imparting trainings. And one very important thing, as you told in the very beginning, that we are talking about female leadership, right? So this entire Orchid International School is having no male policy. You will not find a single male over here. Starting from peon to the gatekeepers, we have didis, matlab there, the female gatekeepers only. We have few male persons also. But when you will enter into the campus now, you will not find a single male. So entire academic block, there is all about, the male educators, female teachers, female educators. Suppose if there are visitors or parents who want to visit academic block, then that parent has to accompany any female. A counselor can be there, FOE can be there, principal can accompany. Even if CMD also comes to our campus now, CMD is not allowed to move to the academic block. That CMD puts on his sign on the register, principal accompanies that CMD, then that CMD is allowed to move into the academic block. So this is what the entire female leadership block is there. And we are only ruling in all the campuses of Orchid International. Although the central team is filled with male persons, but we have no male policies. This is
Interesting. Interesting. It's a very unique policy. I've never heard of something like that before. And it's interesting that right from the non-teaching staff, support staff, to the teaching staff, and of course leadership is all female. I mean, maybe I'd like to dive a bit deeper, but I think it's a bigger, broader topic in itself. Maybe it can have a podcast episode of its
Yeah,
own. Maybe we can discuss this in more detail a bit later. But you mentioned about the modules for the teachers to train as a self-training sort of a module. So as I understand, it's some sort of a learning management system that the
yeah.
teacher sort of, they train themselves on or with. Speaking of LMSs, how do you see technology integrating at Orchids the International in the day-to-day of teachers, but also the day-to-day of students? Like, where do you see this intersection of these two domains, education and technology?
Yes, it when you're talking about technology, na, technology is the other name of orchids, you can say. Means our entire work is on technology only. The day when the employee joins, the day when the teacher joins, the day when the child is getting admitted to the school, technology then and there starts. So whether it is filling up the form, whether it is having the induction training of the child, also it happens. The child also has to undergo all those modules also. So there is for the student and that is for the teacher as well. So for teacher, it's the training part. For child, it's the training part of the portal, of the classroom rules and manners, how the child has to go. So this is what, the moment they are into the system, they have to undergo that training. That is one part. The other thing, that throughout the year we are having radio jockey sessions, we are having blog writing. So there are so many things in which we are sharing drive and we are sharing link to the students starting from grade 1. So grade 1 say grade 9, my kids know how to handle drive, my kids know how to go on the link, on the topic of my blog. I will write the blog, I will submit it, and that blog comes to us. Then we are displaying it on the website, we are displaying it on the portal, and then we are also displaying it into the parents' different groups also. So blog writing here, and I was talking about public speaking. So public speaking is also the part where more of the technology is required, as if the teacher has to show the videos, the students have to record it even. We are having 5 mobiles for each branch, and each mobile is given to different groups of the students. Suppose there is a class of 30 students. So means I have made 6 groups or 5 groups. I have given to each group a different mobile. So the children are only, and that mobile is of the school. Children are recording their voice, they are talking about, they are discussing, and then that recording goes to the portal. That is all set, means intermingled here. So that goes to the portal, and then later on parents checks it, what is happening in the classroom, teacher checks it, and teacher then talk about what wrong they have done, what right they have done. So this is all about how orchids is taking technology into the curriculum, or curriculum is into the technology, that is same. So we have so many things. In fact, the teacher is teaching through the modules. There are various videos and audios which are there in the digiboard, which has been installed into the classroom. So right away from teaching, right away from the classrooms, from curriculum, admission part, all is related to the technology only.
That is so wonderful to hear that students are, from first grade, like 5 6 years old, they are already understanding how to transfer, let's say, a file or data, or use mobile devices, or have voice memos, or like voice recordings of how their day went. Like, it's like a almost like a diary, like a digital diary that the
Yes,
students have of their school, that teachers and parents can also sort of keep a lookout on. I think it's a very good way of understanding, if a student is facing some trouble, like they might vocalize that. Maybe you can
yes,
hear it from the way they speak. Maybe yesterday they were very excited about something, but today maybe their voice is not as exciting, or tomorrow it's even more exciting. So you can see that maybe perhaps in the voice memos itself you can understand a lot more about where a child needs the most support as well. And that's the power of technology in education, where you look beyond using technology as an LMS, but also sort of integrating it as a part of the day-to-day operations as well, like non-academic as well as academic operations. Technology is able to support at Orchids, and that's really wonderful to see. That's really impressive, I have to say. As a technology person myself, I mean, there is often so much discussion about education not adopting technology as much as it should or it can, but it's a very good counter example of the narrative that education has about technology.
In fact,
Yeah.
I would add one thing, like right on the gate only, now, when you're talking
Mm.
about technology, right on the gate when parents comes for inquiry for the admission. So there also we have a laptop, a system is there where parent only entries all the thing, the name and child and grade. And our gatekeeper also knows how to handle that. He knows how to handle, how to take the inquiries, and then he is giving it to the marketing department. So right on
Right.
the gate, we are having a system where parents are doing the entry. So technology starts from there only.
That's excellent. And I think it's also a very good way of giving the parents a glimpse of what the school is
Yes,
about, right? Like the for step zero is you get a glimpse of, what the child's education can be at Orchids.
yes.
It's a very powerful use case for technology as well. Like, awareness about the operations and the principles of the school. That's really great. How do you see the next 3 years, let's say, shaping up for Orchids, the international school? I know that NEP, for example, is a very hot topic among schools since 2020, since the last couple of years. It's been something that many schools have been trying to sort of integrate into their day to day, for example. How is Orchids looking at it for the next? What do you see the next 3 years? Or what do you see coming out of the next 3 years at Orchids? Like, what is one goal that you would like to see achieved as an educational organization?
So when you're talking for orchids, here at Pune, we are 10 branches at Pune. And all these 10 branches are having till grade 10 only. So we have not moved on to 11th and 12th. That is one target that we are moving ahead. We want to move ahead in these coming 3 years about 11th and 12th, bringing 11th and 12th into the system. Because Bangalore has, Mumbai have 11th and 12th, but Pune still have not started. That is one thing. Second is we are also planning for student exchange program in these not 3 years, but yes, in the very next year we will be doing that. So that is in the plan. Student exchange program is somewhat like we have a school at Indore, and Indore have the hostel. Okay, so we will give chance to our students who will be selected from each branch, 4 or 5, that number depends. Those students will be selected. Maybe there will be payment also for that, and they will be given opportunity to go and stay for a week or 10 days in the hostel, stay there, learn something from Gwalior or Indore, whatever branch we have in any of the town. So they will go, they will stay there, they will learn, they will have their academics, they will come with that learning part and takeaways. So that is what a student exchange program in our own among branches. And that in abroad schools, that is also one of the part that we are already doing. But internally, in between the schools, that is one thing. Next, we are also planning for beyond the classroom. Beyond the classroom bell is, yeah, beyond the bell, it is one of the name of the program. Beyond the bell is what? Suppose my school gets over at 3 o'clock. So after 3 o'clock, from 3 to 5, we will run 2 hours Sky School, which will be beyond the bell. Beyond the bell means these 2 hours will be maybe sports classes, remedial classes, music classes, dance classes, maybe horsing, chess, many more. Because here at Orchid International School, Hinjawadi, we have 9 acres ka plot. So this 9 acres is too much to give all those facilities to students. So we are planning for that beyond the classroom, yeah, beyond the bell program, so that the students who are opting for those 2 hours, we can give, but that is not related to studies, something which is beyond academic, beyond the bell, something which is of child interest. So then child will be more open up, more creative, and will be taking those skills into the way how it will be benefited in the future. These are the things.
Great. I think it really covers, like, the vision is to cover holistic development of a child. I think like exchange programs are great because they help you break out of your usual sort of context and adapt to a different context, learn some new things, learn a different way of life perhaps, and then decide if that's the way you want to go, or
Yes.
it's new
Even
input.
if Mr. Omkar, there are few people, when you will come across, you will ask, so they will say, Are, I have not had any hostel life in my entire life. I'm very sad about that. So we are giving this opportunity to children so that they are not leaving their home also, and those for those 10 to 15 days, they are in their own system, and they are having that. Hostel life is something which is very very interesting, and kids love to have that. There is a lot of learning in the hostels also. They are more independent, sponsorship, more leadership, it comes into the body language. So that is going to be very good program. Next year we are going to start.
That's great. That's excellent. And I think the Beyond the Bell program is something that I really appreciate as well. It's one of the schools that we are working with. They have an internship program basically
Okay.
for their students, like older students, of course. Students who are 13, 14, maybe 15. It's like not an internship in the classical sense, but it's more like, okay, if there is a company or there is a professional organization out there that has mini or micro tasks that students
Okay.
can work on that are, of course, suited to their levels, then these students spend like 2 3 hours, let's say, a week or so on these kind of programs. So this way they also get to know, okay, what is expected outside in the world and how they can already start contributing. So they also feel a sense of ownership as well of their work, and they
Yes.
feel responsible, and it sort of brings up communication, teamwork, and all of these skills also they get to practice apart from the hard skills as well. So I think that holistic development of a student beyond the mark sheet, beyond the bell, I think it's a very
Yes.
good way of looking at it. And I really, really wish our kids all the very best to execute all of these ambitious programs, and yeah, set an example for all of the other schools out there as well. And maybe to conclude the podcast, if I wanted to ask you if there is one message that you want to send to other school principals out there who may be listening to this podcast, or other educators, what would that be?
Okay. So I would say, like, we should consider school as a laboratories. As I'm a science student, now you're also a science student. You would say that laboratories are the places where we are making something, creating something, right? So schools are just like laboratories where we are creating human beings. That is very very important. Apart from giving them the knowledge of books, science, mathematics, English, and Hindi, we need to create good human beings right after their school, right after those 15 years. Suppose the child has taken admission in nursery, after 15 years he will be passed out, and he should be modeled as a complete good human being. So that is one of the important job of an educator, of a leader, of a mentor, of a teacher, of guide, of supporter, whatever we say, of guru. So that is one of the job, to create a good human being. And how this thing will be done? When we are building good connect, when we are building good relationships with the child, when we are having very good bonding with the child, so then only we will come closer. And when we are more closer to the child, then only learning happens. So it has been said that kids don't learn from the teacher they don't like. So they only learn from the teacher they like, because they only pick out the subjects जो teacher उनको ज़्यादा पसंद है. So this is very very important. This has been seen among the students. So we have to be the teachers, we have to be the mentors who are most liked. Then only the learning will happen. Then only the relationships will be more stronger. Connect will be more stronger, and we will be more closer in creating good human beings, creating good civilized people, creating good nation. That should be the motto, and not at all to forget about, yes, bringing out good morals and etiquettes in the children, because nowadays it is happening that they are forgetting these things. So it is our responsibility only to make them remind about the values and etiquettes that they have to follow. So one quote I would be ending with this is, ये आसमां का इशारा है, कल का सूरज तुम्हारा है. So this is all to my all female educators, that they should not be looking behind. Look in the front, and see that the sun is shining towards you, and bring about all those changes. Thank you.
Great. I think beautiful words and beautiful message to sort of build citizens of the world that are truly have a strong mindset, skills built on a foundation of values. I think that's what I would take away from your message. And with this, I would like to thank you once again, Miss Shikha, for taking the time today with us, and sharing your thoughts, sharing your journey, sharing your story, and sharing your ambitions for what is to come ahead in the next years at Orchids International School. And with this, we will conclude our podcast episode. And once again, thank you very much for your time. And we hope to see you on the podcast soon again as well.
Okay, thank you so much. Huh? Thank you so much. I also
Yeah,
liked it. Thank you.
I'm glad you did. All right.
Thank you. Yeah.